Why do you keep chasing someone who barely notices you exist? You text first, you make the plans, you bend over backwards trying to prove your worth, and yet somehow you always end up feeling like you're running after someone who's perpetually just out of reach. But here's what's really twisted about this whole situation, and I guarantee by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this happens, and more importantly, how to completely flip the script. But first, let me tell you about the biggest mistake you're making right now. You think the problem is that you're not trying hard enough. You think if you just show her how much you care, if you just prove your worth a little more, she'll finally see what she's missing. That's not just wrong, it's the exact opposite of what actually works. And there's a psychological reason why this backfires so spectacularly. But before I explain that, you need to understand something crucial about human nature that most people get completely backwards. Think about it. When something is always available to you, when it requires no effort to obtain, how much do you actually value it? Water from your tap, the air you breathe. You don't think about these things until they're gone. But when something becomes scarce, when it requires effort to achieve, suddenly it becomes infinitely more valuable. You've been giving away your attention, your time, your emotional energy like it's worthless. You've made yourself the water from the tap, always there, always available, never requiring any effort from her to obtain. And just like that water, you've become invisible. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is the part that most dating advice completely misses. There's actually a specific trigger in the female brain that activates when you stop this behavior. But that trigger only works if you understand the second principle I'm about to share with you. Right now, you're probably thinking this sounds cold or calculating. You've been taught that love means giving everything, caring deeply, showing constant interest. But look where that's gotten you. Exhausted, frustrated, and alone, wondering why your genuine feelings aren't being reciprocated. The problem isn't that you care. The problem is that you care more about winning her approval than you care about your own self-respect. You've made her opinion of you more important than your own opinion of yourself. And there's a neurological reason why this repels women on a subconscious level, but you can't apply this knowledge until you understand what I'm about to tell you next. Women, like all humans, are naturally drawn to confidence and self-assurance. They're attracted to people who have their own lives, their own goals, their own sense of purpose. When you chase, when you constantly seek validation, you're advertising the exact opposite. You're saying, without words, that you don't believe you're valuable enough to be chosen freely. But here's the thing that changes everything. There's a specific way to stop caring that actually makes you more attractive, not less. But if you do this wrong, you'll just come across as bitter or manipulative, and that's worse than where you started. So what does it mean to stop caring correctly? It doesn't mean becoming cruel or indifferent. It means shifting your focus from her approval back to your own life. It means remembering that you existed before she came along, and you'll continue to exist regardless of whether she chooses to be part of your story. When you stop caring about the outcome, something magical happens. You start showing up as your authentic self instead of the person you think she wants you to be. You stop filtering every word through the lens of how it might be received. But there's a specific technique to make this transition without destroying your chances completely. This shift in energy is palpable. Where once you were needy and predictable, you become mysterious and intriguing. Where once you were always available, you become someone whose time and attention have to be earned. But this only works if you avoid the critical mistake that most guys make when they try to implement this strategy. Here's the crucial part that ties everything together. This isn't a strategy to win her back. This is a strategy to win yourself back. The goal isn't to manipulate her into chasing you. The goal is to become the kind of person who doesn't need to be chased because you're already whole and complete on your own. But without understanding the third principle I'm about to share, everything I've told you so far is completely useless. You need all three pieces to make this work, because each one builds on the others. When you truly stop caring about whether she likes you, when you genuinely focus on building a life that fulfills you, regardless of her presence in it, you become infinitely more attractive. Not just to her, but to everyone around you. Confidence is magnetic. Purpose is attractive. Self-respect is irresistible. But here's what nobody tells you about this process. There are 3 specific stages you'll go through, and if you don't navigate the second stage correctly, you'll sabotage everything. Most guys give up right before the breakthrough happens. Think about the people in your life who you admire most. Are they the ones constantly seeking approval from others? Are they the ones who drop everything at the first sign of interest from someone else? Or are they the ones who seem comfortable in their own skin, who have their own goals and dreams, who treat relationships as a beautiful addition to an already fulfilling life? This doesn't mean you become cold or distant. It means you become selectively available. Your time becomes precious because you're using it to build something meaningful. Your attention becomes valuable because you're not giving it away to just anyone. But there's a specific way to communicate this value without seeming arrogant or unavailable. When she texts you, you respond when it's convenient for you, not immediately out of desperation. When she makes plans, you check your own schedule first instead of automatically clearing it for her. When she tests your boundaries, you maintain them firmly but kindly instead of bending them to avoid conflict. This shift will feel uncomfortable at first. You've been conditioned to believe that caring less means you're being mean or selfish, but there's a difference between being cruel and being self-respecting. And understanding this difference is what separates the guys who succeed with this approach from those who fail miserably. As you begin to embody this new energy, watch what happens. Watch how her texts become more frequent. Watch how she starts making more effort to see you. Watch how she begins to pursue the very thing she was taking for granted. But this transformation only happens if you've properly implemented what I'm about to tell you next. The most important realization is this. If stepping back and focusing on yourself causes her to lose interest completely, then she was never really interested in you in the first place. She was interested in the validation you provided, the attention you gave, the ego boost of having someone chase her. But there's a way to test whether her interest is genuine, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. What you want is someone who chooses you freely, who values your presence because they recognize your worth, who doesn't need to be convinced or chased or won over. What you want is someone who sees the whole complete person you are and decides they want to be part of your already amazing life. So stop caring about whether she likes you. Start caring about whether you like yourself. Stop chasing her approval. Start chasing your own dreams and goals. Stop making her the center of your universe. Start building a universe so compelling that others want to orbit around it. But remember, without the specific implementation strategy I mentioned earlier, all of this advice becomes worthless. You need to understand exactly how to transition from where you are now to where you want to be, and that requires following a precise sequence of steps.